All right, so from the sheep here, we will be moving them in this section. You can't tell, but this is a four-wheeler trail that we use, and then this is a four-wheeler trail that we use. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put that fencing down this trail and down the other trail, and we'll run them right through. And in a day, maybe two, depending on how big I make it, they will get rid of all this. So as long as the fence has a good charge, which that fencer does, we'll be able to leave it out here in the shade for a few days and it'll still be just as strong. So we will run them out to here so you can't see. We only walked about 100 feet, but you can barely see the sheep right here, and walk through this. So this is our neighbor's fence line. This is where they had their fence last year, and then they kept it cut down. We don't have a brush mower, we have the sheep. So we let them do the mowing and whatnot. So our four-wheeler trail comes down, and these are all maples right here. Not this big one, this is oak. So we come through here, we put about 40 or so taps right here. You can see the old tap hole. This will all be healed up. You can see I finally figured out which ones were maple and which ones weren't. I don't have any of these ones marked, but I know which ones they are. So we got about 40 or so on the right side here. And then there's a little bit of a break where we clean some brush out of here. So we open this all up to let the light through, and hopefully some grass will start. It's still pretty thick right now. We still have a bunch more to cut out of here, but slowly but surely. No sense on killing yourself all in one weekend to try to get it done, because it's not gonna, you'll get it done, but you'll be exhausted and you'll hate it. So brush pile, that'll get burnt this year. It's been down for 2 years. You can see these trees. We had that bad windstorm about, last 2 years ago. It bent them all over. We'll cut all those. As soon as a tree gets bent like that, it's not good. No sense in making crooked boards. So then, this is the second section. You can see it's pretty thick through here, but the sheep will clean this up for us. And then we'll come through and brush it again. So, got a few trees marked over here. Some of the bigger ones in back. Old deer stand we don't use. Can't hunt out here. Only bow hunt. So, everybody asks why we don't hunt. We don't need to. So, then our trailer splits again. Goes down here. And it opens up again. You can see a few more trees we got marked in pink. So we have, this is the majority of our spot for our maple syrup. It's probably the first time I've walked this trail since we first got here, before we bought our wheeler. But it's not a bad little walk. So this is the Namaji State Forest back here. Oh, the swamp that leads to it anyways. So if we had a snowmobile in the winter time, here you go from Minnesota over to Wisconsin, just right through this forest. So, but same thing. Hopefully I can get the sheep through here. This is a lot of area to cover. It does no good to have too big of an area, because then they're missing stuff that you want them to eat. If you pack them in here a little bit, give them smaller sections at a time, and let them do the work, and then clean up behind them, it works better. Then you don't get as much of this little scrub brush popple that grows through. So we came out here. This is where we cut our logs for our mushrooms. So these logs will be brought up at some point. for our mushroom logs. They've been down for about 2 months now, which is fine. You can have them down for up to 6 or so months. I'm sure some logs are different than others. You'll probably find somebody out there that's like, oh no, you need exactly 5 weeks, otherwise they're junk. Well, it happens. So the amount of input it takes is more time than anything when it comes to doing the mushrooms. Trying to get 5 or so people to come down and sit outside and hang out for a few hours sometimes these days is a little tough. So we kind of leave these big trees, even though they are getting old, starting to break off a little bit. Eventually we'll cut these. This will be firewood for our outdoor boiler. This tree is not. It curves back and forth. We ain't gonna get a single straight log out of that thing, so we'll just cut it down, pile up the brush like we always do, and then whatnot. So cut a couple more logs right here. We'll pick those up and bring those up for logs again. Somewhere in here our neighbor's land starts. We don't go over there, stay off of it. So you can see I opened it up a little bit in here. This is another start. Put about 60 taps over here. This is where we're gonna try doing our lines this year. We got a pretty good grade down the hill, and then a bunch of trees that would be able to come together. That oak tree's got to be 150 years old. It's awesome. But we cut all the little brush out of here. That way there we can actually move around. That's how thick it was last year. We came through with our brush saw and cut everything. We do it by hand. We don't have a pull behind brush hog. It'd make it easier, but we don't really want to get too crazy and spend too much money. Whatever money we make goes back into the farm. We don't take and buy too many crazy things. You don't see a brand new Ford truck or Chevy truck sitting in the driveway. So we don't have huge write-offs like that. So it normally ends up being we get a little bit of money and we buy a new fence. So this is a wheeler trail that we made through here. This is a couple of really nice oak trees. I don't know if we'll run the lines all the way up this way. That's a pretty long stretch. This stuff is not cheap. Not only do you need the 1 or 3/4 inch hose or tubing, then you need some way to keep it up. So you buy heavy gauge wire, and then you got to figure out a way to attach that to everything. So every little piece is $1 here, $3 there, and when you're going 1,000 feet, it's a lot of money, and then it's a lot to maintain. So we might just do that one line back there, see how that goes, and then keep running just buckets up here. And I'll probably get sick of running the buckets, and then we'll do lines up here too. So did about 700 gallons of sap last year, maybe a little more. Ended up with about, was it 10 gallons? 10 gallons of syrup. I did dump a whole pan of syrup this last year, so that was not the greatest day. So, but yep, so little by little, go through, clear it out. As you clear it out, less of this stuff and more of the grass is going to start coming up. So we haven't had our pigs or any of our animals through here, just deer and rabbits and whatnot. So this land hasn't probably been touched by any domestic animals in the last 100 years probably. I'm sure at some point some farmer had a cow through here, but not that I know of. So this trail just wraps all the way around. Like I said, we don't brush these, so it looks a little thick. one good thing is can't really get lost. If you hit the swamp, you just follow the swamp around and it'll bring you out to the road, and then you walk back. Just a little longer walk, but once again, somewhere in here is our neighbor's land. We did mark a couple trees, but we had never used them. So this is gonna come out to where kind of the last spot where we run our pigs before we turn them back around to go towards the house. So this will open up. See right here we have a burn pit. This is where we cut a bunch of trees, piled it up here and burnt it in hopes to burn out that stump, which just charred it a little bit, didn't really do much. We haven't had the pigs down this far yet. They still just go up here, so. But bugs are getting a little terrible, but that's all right. Could be worse. So if we keep walking out here, this is back to sheep are down here, our field, and then the chickens are up here. So then if we walk up this way, you can see I marked some of these trees, these crooked ones. Get them the heck out of here. The point is to hopefully get enough light through that more than just this little scrubby grass grows. We have the option to buy, obviously, grass seed just like everybody else, but if we let the pigs through, they will till it up and do that for us. So the pigs have not been here. I'll show you to where the pigs have been. That way there, you can see the difference. So, all right. So, no pigs, pigs. Same thing we do with the sheep. Bring the pigs in and then cut down or remove anything that we don't need. All right. Some buckets from maple syrup, and we do have about 40 taps up here as well. The reason no grass in here, too many big trees. Just way too many. We could cut these 3 oak trees out of here and we'd probably have grass next year in here. It grows that quick. There's tons of seeds in this ground. They just can't grow yet because there's no light. So once the light comes through, then the trees can grow. That crooked tree, that's going. We'll get that out of here. So this is the end of the tour. I know this last one's a little long, I'm sure. Most people probably didn't hang out this long. But most places, most farms, if you were to ever come to a farm like this, not like this, but a farm in general, one, they're gonna make you change into their boots, probably even put on their coveralls, and then you still won't be able to see the whole farm. They'll only let you see a building or some animals that they had all ready to somebody to see, a little petting area, something like that. There's no sense on, for us, our thing is you can come down here and see exactly where your pig or where your chicken or where your egg was before we brought it to your table. And it just makes the food that much better. The animals actually get to see sunlight and fresh air and lay out in the dirt and dig around in the trees and eat the acorns, maybe eat a little bug, something like that. any egg you get at a store that's not free range is stuck in some house that when you drive down to wherever you're going in the country, you smell it from 3 miles away. If you were to come out here, even after a bad rain, this isn't, you could sit out here and read a book and not complain about the smell or anything like that. So our neighbors don't complain. It's very clean. As long as you keep your animals moving, your animals are healthy, hence why we don't have to give any shots, any antibiotics, anything like that. So that's the end of the tour. If you have any questions, just let us know. Thank you.